So Article 2 sets out the powers of the executive, and that's another big change. Because remember, the American Revolution has fought against a powerful executive figure, King George III. The Articles of Confederation doesn't really have an executive except a committee. And of course, all of us who've tried to do things by committee know that that's not a very efficient way to do things. It's a good way to include many voices, but it's not a good way to fight a war, for instance. So Article 2 outlines what is a fairly strong executive, and that executive has the power to be commander-in-chief of the military, and that's quite deliberate because the feeling coming out of the Revolution and the Articles of Confederation is we need a sounder foundation for our military, and one way they can do that is by moving away from this sort of government by committee and having a single executive authority. So for instance, one of the interesting things about the executive is how they don't detail every aspect of this new powerful executive. And of course, anti-federalists are very worried about that. Of course, a lot of people feel like it's just a foregone conclusion that George Washington is going to be the first president. So even if we don't get it right now, we have time. It's really interesting that one of the first battles over how to interpret the Constitution under Congress deals with, can Washington appoint executive officers? And so the question is, if he appoints them, does he also have a right to fire them? Or do we have to endow him with the power to both hire and fire? Is it part of the essential nature of an executive to have the power to fire once you create an office? Even if, for instance, you create an office that requires the Senate to approve, like cabinet officials or Supreme Court judges. In the case of cabinet officials, can Washington fire his own cabinet? It's not clear from the text of the Constitution. That becomes one of the first things that Congress has to iron out.